Following a series of videos about ground-type Pokémon, we arrive at a list of the top 10 most powerful Pokémon of this type. They have one thing in common. They are slow, yet incredibly durable, with an exceedingly potent, destructive power. The Pokémon in the following list all have special features and values that they bring to a match. Let us begin with number 10, right after my intro. Now let's go!
Picking up all the pieces is a form of art. I'm never gonna look back, cause damn I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change, slowly take a step today. I will never be the same, cause that's what it takes.
When Pokémon Black and White was released, most people realized that many of the Pokémon in this version were essentially remakes of Pokémon from Generation 1. And, in most circumstances, replicates are not better than the original. But Excadrill is an exception. It is an amazing upgrade of Sandslash, a Pokémon which appears on my list of the 10 weakest ground-type Pokémon. Excadrill inherits all of Sandslash's abilities, such as being able to become extremely fast in sandstorms, or the capacity to control entry hazards with Stealth Rock and Rapid Spin. Furthermore, Excadrill is faster, has a higher physical attack stat, and has dual-type Steel Ground that is resistant to more types. For example, it is immune to toxic spikes and 4 times resistant to Stealth Rock, making it useful to switch it into the field to clear hazards quickly. When opposing Sandslash, you can be confident that your Rotom possesses the Levitate ability, that the Mimikyu can take at least one hit with its disguise, and that Hatterene can reflect status moves. However, Excadrill has the ability Mold Breaker, which allows it to attack regardless of your Pokemon's ability. If you don't use Mold Breaker, it still possesses Sand Rush, and with a speed stat of 88, it's the fastest Pokémon in Sandstorms, even quicker than Regieleki, without Choice Scarf. Then, with physical attack of up to 135, it may easily bring your entire team to the ground. This mole is a factor that significantly helps to the strength of Sandstorm teams, putting them on par with other teams that are quite popular in the weather meta in Gen 5, such as the Rain team or the Sunny team. Up to this point, Excadrill is still the Pokémon that does best in Sandstorms. Tyranitar's value in matches also decreases due to its absence from Generation 9. Almost all Pokémon can use the move Toxic, making it one of the most widely used moves in the Pokémon universe. As long as the opponent's Pokémon are not Steel or Poison types, this move is incredibly useful at checking them and creating time pressure. Defensive Pokémon may utilize Toxic as their main method for causing damage, and they can also use it to counter those bulky Pokémon. What happens then if a defensive Pokémon is poisoned and not only loses health, but also somewhat recovers after each turn? I am referring to Gliscor, who possesses the Poison Heal ability. Only 2 fully evolved Pokémon have this amazing ability, which makes it quite difficult to defeat Pokémon like Breloom, who just have mediocre defense, since there will be no way to stop them from healing after each turn once they have been poisoned by Toxic Orb. In addition, poisoning itself in advance protects them against further adverse effects like burns or paralysis. Additionally, Gliscor has a very strong dual type, Flying and Ground. It is a Pokémon with a wide variety of moves, an endless recovery ability, and a strong set of defensive stats. With the help of Knockoff, Toxic, and Taunt, this defensive Pokémon can harass other defensively Pokémon. It can also control hazards with Stealth Rock and Spikes, and with Sword Dance, it can even take the offensive role. And because of its endurance, Gliscor can perform the above roles extremely well. Quagsire is a very special Pokémon. It can act so foolishly that it smashes its head on rocks while swimming, and it has a very chill life. Everything about it was below average in terms of stats, but it was constantly cheerful, as though it didn't matter. Only Pokémon with medium levels like Sock, Passimian, or even Vikavolt may defeat it. But every time an overwhelming force appears like Kyogre, Zacian, or even certain forms of Arceus, for example, it is still Quagsire who stops their sweep. Because, in the end, Pokémon like Quagsire don't give much thought about their surroundings, and legends are meaningless to them. This strength comes from the combination of 2 great abilities, Unaware and Water Absorb, which allow Quagsire to stay on the field for multiple turns, threaten opponents with Yawn or Toxic, and remove their stat increases with Haze. It also comes from the Ground-Water dual type, which is resistant to many other types, Everything else is inherited by Quagsire's brothers Clodsire, with the exception of the dual types. Although the poison ground dual types are not resistant to many types like water ground, but they are immune to poison effects as well as extremely high HP, making it even more difficult to take down Clodsire. Because of this, Clodsire somewhat occupies Quagsire's performing spaces in the 9th generation, but based on their happy faces, I think they don't give any thought to it. They are 2, but they act like 1, so I'll put them both in 8th place. Garchomp, born in the 4th generation and considered the main Pokémon of the strongest champion, is the standard by which later Pokémon will be evaluated. Just 3 Pokémon could resist Garchomp's stab combo at the time of its release: Skarmory, Shedinja, and Bronzong with Levitate. Garchomp had an incredibly high physical attack power and an exceptionally strong offensive dual type, Dragon and Ground. Not many Pokémon have been able to confidently take on this Landshark up until now, with many moves to increase flexibility in battle, such as Stealth Rock to spread traps, Rough Skins to reflect damage, and after using Sword Dance, it can knock down many strong defensive walls with the Earthquake move. Garchomp is trusted in many matches because of his great offensive potential. Otherwise, his inability to increase speed is his only flaw. But Gen 8 brought the move Scale Shot, a move that can make Pokémon faster after use, plus the loaded dice equipment of Gen 9. This seemed to be a more reliable Dragon-type move than Dragon Claw. Still, there is a risk that it will miss, or Fairy-type Pokémon can prevent Garchomp from using this move. Garchomp would undoubtedly be far higher on this list if it could learn Dragon Dance instead. Garchomp can Mega Evolve, but I won't discuss it here because its Mega form is slower and seen as being weaker than its original form. Full Moon is linked to terrifying tales of werewolves biting neighborhoods, giant gorillas crushing everyone, or even a muddy bear that plays the lead role in the film 5 Turns in Trick Room. I know it's been mentioned too much, but no way it is not in this list. Having normal and ground dual types, although it only appeared in the 9th generation not long ago, Ursaluna has swept all battlefields from normal matches to double matches. By comparison, this Pokémon has a quite impressive base physical attack power when measured against other ground-type Pokémon. It also has Headlong Rush, the strongest ground move. The Facade move after Terra Normal, supported by the ability Guts, is one of the highest damage hits ever. Unless your Pokémon is a Ghost type, this move can still take out at least 2/3 of its HP, even if it can resist normal type moves. And even Kovarnite or Dragonite with multi-scale cannot withstand a single hit with after just 1 turn of Sword Dance. Not to mention, Ursaluna accomplished something respectable by perhaps establishing Trick Room as a viable strategy for the first time in a single battle format. Generally speaking, it is not a very favorable trade to provide 1 turn to cast Trick Room and another turn to switch Pokémon for 3 attack turns, but this bear's extreme power makes it usual to defeat 3 opponents in 3 turns. It is possible to say that Trick Room is not buffing Ursaluna, but that Trick Room is considered better from its appearance. Blood Moon, another form of Ursaluna, was first shown in the Pokémon Scarlet and Violet Teal Mask DLC. It takes the shape of a bear mage that specializes in special attacks and has new ability and moveset. Since there's not sufficient data available right now for evaluating this Pokémon's strength, I'll reserve it for video about normal type Pokémon. The vessel adorning Ting-Lu's head takes inspiration from the ancient Chinese cauldron called a ding, which held great symbolic value as a representation of imperial authority. The incorporation of deer and ding elements together may allude to the phrases wending, meaning to inquire about the cauldron, and zhulu, meaning to hunt for deer. These phrases evoke the concepts of power struggles and aspirations for the throne. So Pokémon like Ting-Lu, shaped like a deer with a ding on its head, have the ground type, which is truly a design that contains a lot of meaning. This Pokémon has redefined what a bulky Pokémon is, which is an incredibly amazing achievement. At a time when Chansey and Blissey were less popular because they couldn't heal as much as before, Ting-Lu with no recovery move could make him the #1 defensive Pokémon in the meta, because not only does it have an extremely high HP and strong physical defense, but it also has the exclusive Vessel of Ruin ability that allows it to weaken the special attack of its opponent, something that no Pokémon has ever been able to do before. Combining these 2 elements together creates a comprehensive defense, and we can see that its lack of any recovery move is actually to balance its own power. Of course, Ting-Lu isn't only good at defense, It can also lay a ton of spikes on the opponent's field, blow out setup sweepers with Whirlwind, or just spam Earthquake with its 110 physical attack. Fissure used to be incredibly effective for Ting-Lu, make using it like a gotcha gamer. It had a 30% chance of instantly KO an opponent. If not, it doubled the damage for Stomping Tantrum the next turn. However, this fighting style is useless against flying-type Pokemon, and gradually people get tired of luck-based battling style, but it is also a quite interesting strategy, because no Pokemon can do that before. I also want to bring up Mega Swampert, another good Pokemon. It will only be an honor to mention Mega Evolved Pokemon now that their power is gone. With its swift swim ability, which doubles its speed in the rain, Mega Swampert is a crucial member of the Rain team. Additionally, it is unafraid of electric moves, something most Pokemon on this team are terrified of, thanks to its dual ground and water types. Mega Swampert can one-hit any electric-type opponent with the powerful Earthquake move that comes with a 150 physical attack stat, equal to Groudon. Mega Swampert will be incredibly hard to handle if your opponent doesn't have a Grass-type Pokemon that can endure its Ice Punch for at least one turn. The fact that Waterfall, the strongest Water-type move it can learn, only has 80 power is its only drawback. Hopefully, it will be able to learn moves like Wave Crash to increase its power in Gen 9. Once Paradox Pokemon, Great Tusk appeared, it nearly took the place of Landorus Therian in single battles, earning it the nickname Landorus version 2. If Landorus is quite good in physical defense thanks to the Intimidate ability, and has strong attacks thanks to Sword Dance, then Great Tusk possesses both of those things just with pure stats. These two Pokemon both take advantage of this strength to set up Stealth Rock very well. When Great Tusk is able to learn both Knockoff and Rapid Spin, Landorus lost some valuable moves like Defog and Knockoff in Generation 9. Furthermore, this is the only Pokemon that possesses both extremely powerful stab moves, Close Combat, and Headlong Rush. Put more simply, Great Tusk is a Pokemon that can use Rapid Spin, threat other Pokemon which set up entry hazards, also can use Stealth Rocks, and destroys other Pokemon that can use Rapid Spin. Depending on whether you are facing it or standing behind it, it can make you laugh or cry, although Great Tusk is still not benefited much from its ability at this time. All Paradox Pokemon is the same when they require support or utilize their item to activate their ability. One could argue that this is their weak point, preventing them from using all of their strength. A comparable Pokemon known, Iron Treads, is faster than Great Tusk, and can use Volt Switch. However, Iron Treads is not as bulky and has weaker stab moves than Great Tusk. In essence, Great Tusk is faster than the majority of its frequent counter with just one turn using Rapid Spin, so the speed difference between these two Pokemon actually doesn't have much value. Being a ground-type Pokemon is naturally valuable, with a super wide offensive coverage and extremely powerful and reliable moves. Additionally, possessing the flying type makes Pokemon immune to ground moves above and helps them resist fighting type, which is another popular offensive type. Once they are combined, the Pokemon will only have two weaknesses. We spoke about Gliscor at the beginning of the video. Let's now talk about Landorus, Mega Gliscor. It has two forms, Landorus Incarnate and Landorus Therian. Its incarnate form has a great ability called Sheer Force, which increases the power of moves like Focus Blast, Psychic Sludge Bomb, Sandsear Storm, and Earth Power by 33%. In exchange, the additional effects of these moves will be removed, including the loss of HP when holding the Life Orb. Landorus's moves power will increase by roughly 70% when he uses the Sheer Force and Life Orb combo. Despite having a special attack power of just 115, he can still defeat high-level legends like Necrozma Duskmane or Eternatus. It can even use Nasty Plot in Generation 9. The Therian variant is powerful in a different way when it has Intimidate, which may reduce the physical attack of the opponent, and a strong dual type, which makes this Pokemon highly durable despite not having a very high defense stat. This Pokemon can spread traps with Stealth Rock as well as deal with Pokemon that can remove hazards with U-Turn and Explosion, or simply use Sword Dance and Earthquake. Landorus is one of the most perfect Pokemon ever created. It can fight on par with even high-level legendary Pokemon despite being a low-level legendary Pokemon, but in the 9th generation, it lost some of its weapons, including Defog, Toxic, and Knockoff, which greatly reduced its power. Pokemon Zygarde is a dual-type ground dragon that maintains the ecosystem's balance, or more precisely, the equilibrium between growth and destruction. Perhaps for that reason, this Pokemon has incredibly powerful offensive and defensive capabilities. When its HP falls below 50%, it will use the power construct to transform into its complete form, making it the bulkiest Pokemon in the world. It has a lot of space to do whatever it wants, including raising its stats, stirring opponents with status moves, or just hitting several times. With Thousand Arrows the only ground move that can hit flying-type Pokemon, or Pokemon with the Levitate ability, Zygarde has one of the best moves in the Pokemon world. This means that it only has to use one move, Thousand Arrows, to hit all opponents except Shedinja, freeing up 3 other move slots. For example, use Glare to 100% accurately paralyze opponents, Coil and Dragon Dance to increase stats, or Substitute to actively sacrifice its own HP and protect against bad status condition. Because opponents will try to beat Zygarde before it can change form, either by improving its stats or switching out Pokemon that can one-hit Zygarde so this Pokemon can benefit greatly from the Substitute move. Zygarde is highly powerful, yet it is still hard to place number 1 in this list due to the undeniable fact that using it before transformation to its full form causes some anxiety, and it is somewhat useless when in 50% form. Creator of continents and king of ground-type Pokemon, Groudon basically possesses the same characteristics as other Pokemon on this list, having average speed in exchange for physical attack and defense, and really likes Stealth Rock when it can both set up and resist them. Like Zygarde, Groudon has defense power good enough to spending some turns increasing its stat. However, the most special thing about Groudon is its drought ability. Because of their capacity to create rain or sunlight, Groudon and Kyogre have been appearing frequently in Pokemon Competitive since Generation 3. Even though there was a huge nerf in Gen 6 that caused the weather to disappear after 5 turns, everyone saw that it was not enough. Being able to instantly increase your power without any conditions or activations, turning the entire field to your advantage and disadvantageous to your opponents, and even unlocking the power of many teammates just by jumping into the field, brings a variety of strategies surrounding them. When lots of powerful Paradox Pokemon are introduced in Gen 9, Groudon's position becomes even more solid. These Pokemon can become stronger in the sunny weather that Groudon creates. Groudon will remain one of the strongest Pokemon ever created and hold the first place on this list for a while longer because to this ability, even if it has lost its primal form, as it has always done for 20 years. And those, in my view, are the top 10 strongest ground-type Pokemon. Please hit the like button if you agree. If not, no worries, as this is just my own opinion. Which ground-type Pokemon is your best or most loved one? Please leave a comment below. And now, goodbye.